Have you ever walked through your own front door and realized you couldn't remember a single detail of your commute home? It is like we spent half our lives on autopilot, our eyes open but our minds miles away. We look at the world but we do not truly see it. But imagine for a second that you could flip a switch. Imagine walking into a room and instantly noticing the nervous tap of a colleague's foot, the slight mismatch in a story a friend is telling, or the subtle pattern in a recurring problem at work that everyone else seems to miss. This is not just a skill for fictional detectives like Sherlock Holmes. It is a set of very real, very trainable mental muscles that can change how you navigate your daily life. Today, we are going to dive deep into the art of deduction and the science of observation. We are going to learn how to unleash your inner detective and sharpen your mind using practical exercises you can start right now. The first step in this journey is mastering the art of active observation. There is a huge difference between passive looking and active processing. Passive looking is just sensory input hitting your retinas. Active processing is when you intentionally engage your brain to analyze what you are seeing. Think of yourself as a human camera, but one that is also recording the why and the how. A great way to start is by practicing mindful awareness. Next time you are in a familiar place, like your favorite coffee shop or even your own living room, try to look at it as if you were a tourist who has never been there before. This is what experts call the beginner's mind. When we are too familiar with something, our brains stop processing the details because they think they already know everything. By forcing yourself to look with fresh eyes, you start to notice the small stuff. Maybe it is the way the light hits a certain corner or a new scratch on a wooden table. To take this further, you need to engage all five of your senses. Most of us rely almost entirely on our sight, but a true detective uses everything. Try sensory layering. Close your eyes for a minute and just listen. Can you identify three distinct sounds? Maybe it is the hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of a car, or the rhythm of your own breathing. Use your sense of touch to identify objects without looking at them. When you eat, chew slowly and try to pick out individual flavors and textures. This kind of intentional engagement pulls you out of your head and anchors you in the present moment. To make these observations stick, I highly recommend keeping an observation journal. It sounds simple, but spending just 5 minutes a day documenting what you notice can transform your mental clarity. Don't just write down what happened. Describe the sensory details. Sketch a quick diagram of a room layout or note the specific color of the sky. This creates a bridge between your short-term sensory memory and your long-term analytical brain. Now let's talk about one of the most exciting detective skills, reading people. We are social creatures and we are constantly broadcasting our internal state through nonverbal cues. The secret to reading people is not just looking for a single magic sign of lying or truth. It is about establishing a baseline. Everyone has their own unique set of habits. Some people fidget when they are excited, while others do it when they are stressed. Before you can interpret someone's behavior, you need to know what they look like when they are relaxed and neutral. Once you have that baseline, you can start looking for clusters of cues that deviate from the norm. One of the most telling areas is the neck. Have you ever noticed someone rubbing the back of their neck during a tough conversation? That is a classic self-soothing gesture. When we feel judged, insecure, or stressed, our nervous system kicks in, and rubbing the neck helps calm us down. It is an unconscious attempt to reduce tension. Another powerful cue is eye blocking. This happens when someone shields their eyes, blinks excessively, or even covers their face momentarily. It is a subconscious way of trying to block out something we don't like or don't want to deal with. You should also watch for mirroring. When two people are in sync and trust each other, they often unconsciously copy each other's posture or gestures. If you notice someone is intentionally not mirroring you, or if they are leaning back and crossing their arms while you are leaning in, it might signal a lack of rapport or a feeling of being guarded. Of course, reading people isn't just about catching them in a lie, it is about empathy and understanding. When you notice someone's breathing become shallow or their voice pitch shift, you are seeing their stress in real time. Instead of using that against them, you can use it to build trust. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of asking a yes or no question that might make them feel cornered, ask things like, "Tell me more about that," or "How did that make you feel?" This allows the other person to open up and provides you with a much richer stream of information to analyze. Beyond observation, a detective needs a sharp, logical mind. This is where the art of deduction comes in. Deduction is the process of taking general information and narrowing it down to a specific conclusion. To boost your critical thinking, you can use a technique called the 5 whys. Whenever you encounter a problem or a weird situation, don't just accept the first explanation. Ask why it happened, then ask why to that answer, and keep going 5 times. This helps you dig past the symptoms and find the root cause of an issue. It is also vital to distinguish between a fact and an inference. A fact is something you actually observed, like the person is wearing a wet raincoat. An inference is a conclusion you draw, like it must be raining outside. While the inference might be likely, a detective knows there are other possibilities. Maybe they walked through a sprinkler or someone spilled a bucket of water. By separating facts from interpretations, you avoid the mental traps and cognitive biases that lead most people to the wrong conclusions. To keep your mind sharp every day, you should integrate small mental workouts into your routine. Logic puzzles like Sudoku or crosswords are great, but you can also try something called Fermi problems. These are estimation challenges where you have very little data. For example, try to estimate how many piano tuners there are in your city. You won't get the exact number, but by breaking the problem down into reasonable assumptions, like the population size and how many people might own pianos, you train your brain to think structurally and logically under uncertainty. You can also practice building a memory palace. This is an ancient technique where you visualize a familiar place, like your childhood home, and place bits of information you want to remember in specific rooms. When you need to recall the information, you simply take a mental walk through the house. It is a fantastic way to improve your spatial memory and focus. Being a detective is more than just a set of tricks. It is a mindset. It is about curiosity and a refusal to be bored. It is about looking at an obstacle and seeing it as a clue. Even small daily frustrations, like losing your keys or a technical glitch on your computer, can be treated as mini mysteries to be solved systematically rather than things to get angry about. Use the 5 Ws and 1 H: who, what, where, when, why, and how. Trace your steps, look for patterns, and analyze the evidence. The more you practice this in small ways, the more natural it will become when you face big challenges. As you start to apply these skills, you will find that the world becomes a much more interesting place. You will start to see the hidden stories in the people around you and the underlying logic in the events of your day. You will become more present, more engaged, and ultimately more effective in everything you do. Remember, the goal isn't to be perfect or to never make a mistake. Even the best detectives have to revise their theories. When new evidence comes to light, the goal is to keep questioning, keep observing, and keep learning. If you found these exercises helpful, try picking just one to focus on tomorrow. Maybe it is keeping an observation journal or trying to spot one self-soothing gesture in a conversation. You will be surprised at how quickly these small habits add up to a much sharper mind. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the detective mindset. If you enjoyed this dive into the art of observation and deduction, feel free to subscribe for more ways to level up your mental game. Keep your eyes open and your mind curious. See you in the next one.